This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
I was trying to get it how I live. I want them dead presidents. I want to pull up, head spin, get it, get fly. I got 6 jobs, I don't get tired. I don't get tired.
And we are still not tired on this week's episode of Two Bad Hombres. I am your host, Vito Geronimo Churko, alongside my usual sidekick and broadcast partner in fun. That is the Doc from Doc and Jack, John Charles McElroon. John, how are you doing?
Vito, it's a country divided. Everyone's up in arms. Everyone in the world of politics is, really looking in at what the government's doing regarding the nomination for the Supreme Court. I can't believe it, Vito. Bill Cosby's in jail. Unfortunately, he was found guilty, and after the second trial, he was found guilty of sexual misconduct. And a man in his 80s is in prison. And it's interesting to see a guy like Bill Cosby with his vision problems, looking so old, having the situation in which now for the next, I believe, 5 to 10 years is in prison.
It's sad. You know what? He was the model father, right? Wasn't he? For the African-American community, for Americans all over the place, people all over the world. They looked up to this guy. He was a role model for a classy dude, a guy that was a stand-up act, could do no wrong. Once again, the go-to family man that you wanted to model yourself after as a father. And look at what has happened since. All these accusers have come out, and now he is in jail. And you know what? Rightfully so.
Yeah, 81 years old, convicted the second time. It was fascinating. The first go-around, I think it was a hung jury, and the second go-around, boom, he was convicted. And, it's unfortunate, and especially with the nature of how many women came forward in 81-year-old Bill Cosby. How much of his legacy has been tarnished as a result of it? Because a lot of people still know him as the TV dad, the comedian, and the guy that made him laugh in their households, the model dad. But how much of this, a man that late in his life convicted of a sexual assault, how much do you think it tarnished his reputation?
Well, nobody's laughing now, and nobody should be laughing about him now and anything from his past, because we know what he has done in his past and what he really did. Well, outside of the TV studio where he filmed The Cosby Show, he was a bad man, up to no good, assaulting these women and numerous women that were, just innocent bystanders there. They didn't deserve that to happen to them. Bill Cosby ruined most of these women's lives, right? They never mentally recovered, including the woman who gave the testimony in the court and, got Cosby convicted ultimately. And once again, it was a long time coming. So I was glad to see this happen to Bill Cosby because it deserved to happen. Justice was served, ultimately, Doc.
How's life been treating you?
Well, much better than Bill Cosby, I'll say that. And yeah, so good. How about you?
Very good. The podcast, obviously, I had an opportunity to go out to a wrestling event, and just like the podcast, it was really interesting to see a marquee wrestling event take place, homegrown, the Championship Wrestling League. Dennis Farrell, friend of the podcast, is part of it, and so I got a chance to go out to Brighton, Michigan, and see the Legacy Center.
The Legacy Complex. How about that? Of our new sponsor, Legacy Football. Justin Sasante is a new partner of us, through Legacy Football, and we're glad to be sponsored by Legacy Football, aren't we?
Yeah, it was really cool to see the complex. I've never been to Brighton before, so it was a nice drive up, just a little bit past Novi, like I thought. I think the farthest I usually go is Novi in terms of just like going to malls, things like that. And obviously, I've been to East Lansing and have driven through the Brighton area, but never had seen it before, so I got a chance to see a wrestling event that's, fully funded by a guy here in Michigan, and he's setting up shop, and it was interesting to see it from the ground level because I've obviously seen this podcast from the ground level. Now, obviously, it's not the same as the, very well-produced billion-dollar company WWE, but they had marquee talent, and to take the big black mic and with the DSP logo, and it was great to have the interview and take it and merge video with audio, and to put up a podcast was really interesting. And I give credit to people who try. Put up your own money, see what happens, and it was great to ask questions about how it's being ran and how the future looks, and there's an opportunity for it to be on TV. So interesting stuff there. I hope the Championship Wrestling League takes off because that's just more opportunity for the Michigan wrestling scene to take shape. So that was really cool. Have you been out and about? Any dates? Anything with the fellas?
You know what? Last weekend, I worked at the Free Press Friday night. I saw that you were at the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony as well. Let's seg to that really quick. And how did that go for you? Because I saw some videos were posted. A blooper one. You called a blooper one. Justin Rose from Channel 7 even commented on it, gave you a tip. And I guess you were in the moment there with Robert Porcher, former Lion great, and something went awry. Tell me what happened, Doc.
Yeah, no, it was a situation in which now, obviously, using the microphone and this gear here is a portable recorder. So I had not used it before. So obviously, I was, fidgeting with it and trying to get it to work. Well, in checking YouTube videos, I did not install it properly. You got to push it down into the mic until you hear a click. And so I did not do that with some of the audio, and so it cut off. But I garnered the assistance of the Detroit sports media to take a video. And it was really interesting talking to TJ Duckett. I was thrilled to talk to him. But obviously, I didn't connect the recorder properly that first go-around. But the second go-around, interviewing the professional wrestlers, I had it perfectly and did not cut off. Part of it was setting the scene at Motor City Casino, interviewing TJ Duckett, BJ Armstrong, Robert Porcher. It was great. Very accommodating. My second year doing it, so it was really easy to kind of wait in the red carpet line to get everybody. Everybody was super accommodating. With Robert Porcher, the backstory and why Justin's comment was valid, but he did not have the whole story. Robert Porcher was being interviewed on the red carpet starting at 6. Well, the ceremony starts at 7, and he doesn't want to be interviewed for an hour. Somebody from the media had said, okay, do you want this to be a scrum where multiple people do it like we did last year with Jim Leland? And one of the media members, Jack Ebling from Lansing's like, no, I need it myself, because he wanted to do his own radio segment, not with a mic like we had, but with his cell phone. But he went out and did a 10-minute interview with Robert Porcher, and I kind of got a sense of how the media works in that everybody kind of, if you want to get your own stuff, they don't sometimes consider other media members. So other media were looking at Jack going, dude, it's been like 10, 11 minutes. You're trying to do a whole segment here. And Robert Porcher kind of indicated that he wanted to move things along. He didn't want to be there. So I was then second in line right after Jack Ebling's 10-minute interview. So I'm going in there going, okay, and I told Tony Paul, I told him, look, I'm only going to be 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I have a couple questions I want to ask everybody. So I'm not going to be out here doing
feature stories, interviews with them and making feature stories. That wasn't your intent, I know.
That wasn't my intent.
Yeah.
But in the coming years, I will make it my intent to go maybe 3 minutes.
Or maybe get one guy to talk to and you can make a feature in-depth interview, right?
Look, you realize that you get your stuff in and you ask for the time. They'll answer the questions. They're not going to really try. And you'll get a sense of how it vibes. But going into it, I was then, after Jack Ebling, I was in a rush. So I start off by just asking, hey, how did it feel to hear the name Robert Porcher? And then the next question I asked was, so how did you get the phone call? And previous years, I'd asked, how did you react when you got the news from the Hall of Fame that you were inducted? Is the common question. But when you're in a rush, you just spit out words, and I spit out, so how'd you get the phone call? And right away, he looked at that question, and then I knew he was going to tell a joke. And he answered, well, the phone rang, and I saw the button, I swiped it, and he started laughing. It was funny. But I'm like, okay, I want to get to the next thing. I didn't want to, I wanted to be professional. So
yeah, but you could have laughed.
I could have, but I didn't think it was funny. So
well, you got to fake it until you make it, man.
Well,
you think these reporters, too? I say this all the time. I watch these anchors on Channel 7, Channel 4, Channel 2. Guess what? They have down-pat fake laughs. They have perfected fake laughs. Do you think they're always really... I mean, you could have done that.
Well,
in the spirit of the moment.
Well, I don't have a fake
It was
laugh.
a low light. No, but you make it look good. You draw them in, you show a smile, a little bit of a laugh.
I did.
So,
if you see the video, I am kind of smiling because
ya.
I'm seeing it. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, because...
It was all right, right?
It wasn't a terrible question.
No.
It was just the way he answered it was funny, but I'm like,
he
okay.
meant it for laughter. His response was to produce laughter out of you, too, and I know you didn't really erupt with laughter, but you wanted to get you said your other questions in there.
I wanted my stuff in, and knowing that he wanted to move it along, I don't want him to cut me off. I don't want, like, the PR guy to tap on my shoulder and be like, okay, and there's two other guys behind me waiting, so I just wanted to get my stuff in and move forward. So I can understand where I don't have to be, less robotic, but in that context, I wanted to move it along. I wanted to get my 2 minutes of audio and move forward. But in the end, to share with everybody, his interview, I got audio from everybody. It didn't cut off mostly. I got great interview with Mick McCabe, BJ Armstrong, and TJ Duckett. His interview completely cut off after 30 seconds.
Oh, so maybe it was meant to be.
It wasn't meant to air.
How it happened. It was not meant to air.
It was not meant to air on a podcast. It was meant to air on a video.
Sure, and you got a video out of it at least.
I got a couple of videos
Something
out of it, and it was funny. And in the end, you live and learn because you try new things out. That's why I go do these things, because you got to learn. So I learned that, it's for the recorder. You got to, insert it so that you hear the click. I never read that. I didn't see that. So
you never read the directions then?
Never really fully read the part. I didn't see it in there. I read the directions, but I didn't see it in there.
So you found out after the fact. Now, how did you? So you found out through doing the interviews, but like, when did you find out? Like after you went home and started listening back?
Yeah.
Then found out.
I'm like, oh, it cut off. I'm like, wait a minute. It cut off part of my interview with TJ, part of my interview with BJ, but I got enough audio. It's still connected enough. But then when you move it back and forth, it was not sturdy enough. But now I went back. I'm like, something's wrong. That's not right, because it had a sense when you're holding it that it was loose a little bit and coming apart. So I looked at more videos, and I saw a review where it said you push it down until you hear a click. And when I did that, oh man, you could swing it left and right, and I did that for the Pro Wrestler, and it was amazing. So, but the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame does an amazing job, and I had a great time interviewing everybody, and I felt part of the mix. And again, having done it a year prior, I was comfortable. Everybody was really cool. And look, I welcome the critiques. I thought that, I could have been more natural, but that's not me. I don't do a fake laugh, because then it comes off as disingenuous.
You probably couldn't even do it.
Yeah, I couldn't even do it.
You can't produce it.
Yeah.
You can't do it in the moment like that. See what I do? You've seen me before, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know I would have been nervous too after that. So, I mean, I know it's hard in the moment to say I would have done this or that, but I feel like what I do typically, even when I get nervous, I smile. You see me how I do.
I could
smile.
Yeah,
you
I
flash
said,
the smile, the $1 million smile, man.
I could have
That's
said,
all you had to do.
Yeah, I could have said, oh, thank goodness your phone was charged. You got the call. Yeah,
but you're not going to think of that in the moment. Forget about the reaction verbally. I'm saying, like, just flash a smile.
Yeah.
Like, even when I'm nervous talking to somebody and I notice, like, I made a mistake and I can see it, like, the person maybe, reacted in a certain manner. Just flash a smile. I'm flashing the signature $1 million smile, and that's what you have to do there, Doc. But at least we get some tips here and there, huh? From Justin Rose, who we accept critiques from all these professional media members out there. We would love your critiques about how we do at the podcast, with our interviews, face-to-face interactions with you and others when you see us talk to others. So we appreciate all of the feedback, definitely.
I have no problem with that at all, and I liked it. I'm like, yeah, you can call me a robot. It's no big deal. I'm learning on the job.
I don't know if he meant that, but I guess it came off as that.
No.
You thought you were robotic? When you look back at it, you thought you were robotic too.
Of course,
or just
I had
based
to
off
be.
of the comment by Justin Rose.
I had to be, because I was trying to be professional.
Trying to get your interview done and let Tony Paul talk to him and others, right?
Exactly. I just wanted to get it done. And of course, if it was just me in a scrum, I could have been more loose and asked a bunch of more questions and be a little bit more open. But in the context of, hey, you got 2 or 3 minutes and you got to keep it moving, it wasn't time for that. So I obviously understood that. And hey, I aired a video in which he said, great question. And the video, I asked the question, what were your goals coming into the NFL? And he said, I didn't want to embarrass my family. I wanted to represent the Detroit Lions organization the best that I could. And hey, as long as you get a great question out of your 2 minutes, that's all I could ask for. And it was great content. A lot of people watched it, so I'm really happy with the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame. It's something I'm going to probably keep doing year in, year out, because I love it. I love it. I obviously would like to have somebody else there, but everyone's busy.
I'm busy, always working at the Free Press. I know my boss was there. Well, Mick McCabe, highly acclaimed prep sports writer. He was there being inducted himself for all of his years of service to the prep football community for the Free Press. He is a Hall of Fame writer now in more ways than one. No doubt about that. And then the Free Press sports editor, Chris Thomas, was there as well, and he brought up one thing. I got 2 things for you. The first thing, and this isn't, these aren't 2 remarks from Chris Thomas, but the one thing is from Chris Thomas. He told me that there was a open bar. Did you know that? And because I can tell you weren't loose like a goose. As you said, you weren't loose, so you weren't loose like a goose, but there was an open bar. Did you know that much, Doc?
Well, the area I was in, it was a cash bar, so there were prices.
There was an open bar too. I guess probably for the members of the Hall of Fame induction, the guys that were being inducted, plus their family members and their VIP list, And
that might have been in the ceremony, but in the ceremony, I was in the background just taking pictures and things like that. The best thing, too, though, about that is I got your organization, the Free Press, to retweet a comment from me, and that meant a lot to me, because I had a feeling like, you know what, if I take a picture of Mick and I include it and I tag the Free Press, there's a chance they may, retweet it and to the masses, and it went out to 400,000 people. I was like, yes, good job, Free Press. I was really happy with it, and I took good photos. I was positioned in that spot. Nobody else was there, and the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame is great. It's broadcast online. I wish it could be done on Fox Sports Detroit, but, all in all, Motor City Soundboard is great, man. The food was good, Little Caesars, and the appetizers, popcorn, and I didn't drink. I drank soda. I drank pop.
Was there any spit in your pizza?
No.
No? You get that? Okay, so really quick. So you didn't know there was an open bar.
No, I did
not. I guess
not.
you missed out on that, but you weren't there for that purpose. You weren't
I was working
supposed to be
media.
loose. You were a working media member, and in the future, I'll be there as well to talk with Mick McCabe and others, right? So I'm looking forward to that. And also, you said you talked to TJ, BJ, and now you're talking to VJ. I wanted to make that little quip there, too. So look at you, talking to VJ now here on Two Bad Hombres.
And it was great to meet a member of the Detroit sports media. Roy Akers was a nice guy. He helped me take the video, and definitely it was cool to watch him do his thing. And the Detroit sports media, they're around. I see them all over the place, but they have a little bit of an in that the president is somebody that works at Fox Sports Detroit. So it's a little bit different than what we're doing, and I like it that way. I like us to be independent. I don't need any, affiliation, but the best is when they ask me, do you want to join? Yeah, join. There's opportunities. I'm like, well, to be honest, I know some people at the Detroit sports media, but we're kind of doing the same thing, and I don't need to, dole out
and then pay to play, too. Yeah. You don't want to be donating any money to an entity that's kind of competing with us, and we respect those people. Blair Glover's a part of Detroit sports media, but to pay for it,
but they're getting compensated, so there's opportunities for their time to be for your time to be utilized. And look, I look at it like I would rather not have the access and earn it myself, like I've done. It made it a great feeling when we earned access to the Detroit Tigers, to go that route, to be denied for a couple years and then have it come your way. So it was great. The Detroit sports media was very helpful. I got a chance to watch and see how others did it. I saw Tony Paul's 10-minute interviews for each of the people that were there. He's a great interviewer, underrated. He's really a good interviewer and a good dude. Like I said, not super personable. Like, I don't see myself cracking jokes with Tony.
No, not going to happen, bud.
Exactly.
Not going to happen. I like him too. I respect him, but he's not that type of dude. He's not looking for that. When he's there, he's working. He's like strictly working. He might talk to you a little bit, open himself up for a little bit of conversation. But, hey, you're a working media member now, man. It's not meant for that and not meant to get loose as a goose.
Exactly.
And enjoy the open bar. So, hey, that's for other people.
Yeah, I got a chance to see his interview style, and it was really good.
He's good, isn't he?
Very good.
Yeah.
And I think for the video content that he produced, he did a good job. And like I said, it's always a learning opportunity to see what the likes of Tony Paul are doing. And it was fun interviewing Robert Porcher because of the fact that Hooper came in, and so he tagged me in it, and he tweeted out, he said, this is an interesting media scrum where you got Hooper, you got the Detroit Sports Podcast, a microphone, and Robert Porcher. So props to Tony. I appreciate the plug, and I think he appreciated us being there and helping out, too, not taking 20 minutes like Jack Ebling did. Man, Jack.
There you go, another dig.
Interesting cat.
Jack Ebling.
Interesting cat that guy is. Doesn't seem like he's a team player all that much, at least at that time. Because he did
do we have to be team players?
Well, I'm like, you don't got to
be considerate of other people's time when they have to interview these players.
You don't got to
right?
give a 12-minute radio interview and just keep going on and on and on and on when there's people behind you. But, all in all, it was a great experience. I loved it. I can't wait to do it again next year. Anything upcoming for you in terms of coverage? Any exciting sporting events going down for you?
Well, I talked to 12wood Friday night. That was pretty interesting. A shout out to him. And he's a Jim Rome clone, so we talked all about the clones in the podcast network. So that was last night, actually, and that was fun to do. Also, I wanted to bring up, there's something I want to bring up at least eventually about millennials, and we'll get to that, I think, in a second. But for me, specifically this weekend, I'm going to have some fun. There's a stag party I'm going to tonight for an individual family friend, specifically that's going to get married coming up here, I believe in November.
Party?
A stag party? You've never heard of that, actually?
No.
Must not be a Lebanese thing or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Well, for these Italian folks such as me and Americans, I guess, well, you are too, but yeah, okay. Anyways, it's a bachelor party. You go like a bachelor party. It's not where you're going to have strippers there. So don't even get your mind in the gutter. You're going to say that and tell me go get a lap dance. It's not happening. There's nothing of that. But it's at a place, a house, that also has a bar. It has that. It has cards, like a card table. You can go play that. There might be billiards. There's alcohol. I mean, there's a bar, so there's alcohol, obviously. And it's like an open bar, I think, all night long. I think you can leave tips and help out the bartender. But this guy owns a house by my home in Clinton Township and rents it out to people for parties, such as for these stag parties that now you're learning about that are bachelor parties. Same thing, but this one's not going to have a dancer. There's no dancers here, so don't get your head in the gutter and start asking about that, Doc.
Well, this is not a bachelor party I want to come to. So
it's a stag party. Yes. Well, now you know what a stag party is.
No, you got to go to a real bachelor party, Vito. What's going on with that?
I should. I've been to, I think, one or two in the past, but I like these stag parties, too. I'm going to keep throwing out that phrase now. And now you've learned something. I've learned something new from you today. And you know what? We're always learning, like you said, from the event last weekend when you were at the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony at the Motor City Soundboard, right? That's what it's called. And a great venue. Like I said, I would love to be there next year. And do they allow millennials to attend that aren't even close to being Hall of Famers yet? Because I know there were some older dudes there, too, such as Mick McCabe. No offense to him, but, he's a guy that's experienced that's not even close to a millennial.
Look, if you pay the money, you pay for the VIP experience, you can be part of anything, Vito. You know
can party with anyone and get loose as a goose. Yes. Well, I'm hoping on your dime. Not on my own dime, on somebody else's dime, such as you. You're you're the big moneymaker here at the Podcast Network. As the CEO, co-founder, you do it all here at the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. And what's on tap next year on Two Bad Hombres this week, Doc?
Well, I'm definitely interested in your thoughts about millennials. They're kind of doing some things that are bucking trends nationally in terms of staying together in marriages. And to end the podcast, I definitely want to talk to you about hacking and things like that. Facebook got hacked, and it's making me kind of question, you know what? How much info, how much time are we going to spend on social media? But we'll get to all that right after we talk about our sponsors, and you're definitely going to give us some insight into Top Cat Sales.
Top Cat Sales. I love to work for the company. My boss is John Wangler, former U of M Rose Bowl winning quarterback. Won a Rose Bowl as the starting quarterback in 1981 for the Michigan Wolverines. He is a leader at Top Cat Sales, a fearless leader, as I like to call him. And we are a sports apparel distribution company. We're located in both Royal Oak and in Madison Heights now. So 2 locations from one of the finest entities in all the land that distributes great sports apparel, such as Adidas apparel, the finest Adidas apparel in all of the land, and sports brands and apparel in all the land at the same time. And Doc, you can find out more info about Top Cat Sales, by the way, by following Top Cat on Twitter at Team Top Cat. And if you want to get outfitted by Top Cat Sales Monday through Friday, please call 248-246-1054.
And Vito, announcement, we got a brand new sponsor, the Legacy Football Organization. Check them out at legacyfootballorg.com. That's legacyfootballorg.com. The Legacy Football Organization is the premier offseason development program in the state of Michigan and the Midwest. The Legacy Football program provides unique platforms for student athletes on and off the field through community service, social awareness, education, and football development. They're a new sponsor of the network, and we're grateful to work with them. The Legacy Football Organization. To check them out, legacyfootballorg.com. A great complex out there in Brighton, Michigan.
Exciting times here at the Podcast Network. We have a new sponsor in Legacy Football, as you already mentioned. The head of that, Justin Sassante, a great dude. So check out Legacy. For sure, check out Legacy Football and all that they're doing. Also exciting because playoff baseball is going on now. We had the AL and NL wildcard games happen earlier in the week. Now we have the ALDS and NLDS going on. And because millennials are waiting to get married. How about that little transition? I don't know if that was weird, but I think it was. Millennials are, though it's a fact, are waiting to get married now more and more. And I think I've had a premise or a theory here for a while that I've discussed with my parents, too, about people getting married later in life now than when they were younger and growing up.
Oh, I totally misread that. I thought when I saw the link that the article was about millennials that do get together, stay together longer, they're not getting divorced.
And that is true as well. They're getting married longer, and also that article specifically focuses on that trend. That they're staying married and not getting divorced as much as these, baby boomers, such as my parents' generation. And they're not divorced. I don't think they're getting divorced anytime soon, so I don't want to be speak of a bad omen here for my parents. I don't see it happening. But for us as millennials, just me, I guess, you're not even in the age bracket for that.
I think I'm a Gen Xer. I'm a Gen Xer.
You just missed the cut by a tad. Now, I was going to say my theory on people getting married later in life, too, is because of the fact that I think for women especially, they make it harder on the men. They almost run a sweepstakes for themselves. If they're really beautiful, have a great personality, too, it seems like they interview men now. 10 men, at least, before they get married. That's what it seems like to me. Making it harder and harder for us to appease these women and to have them gravitate towards us and take a chance on us.
Damn,
I mean, I feel that way about women nowadays that are in my age bracket, that are fellow millennials. I believe it's a sweepstakes more and more for guys when it comes to women. These women are like almost interviewing guys. And I think when my mom was growing up and she got married to my dad, she pretty much just said yes to my dad. She made it easy on him. There were less expectations for men, though. But don't you believe that? There were less expectations for men growing up when my dad did because they never had to learn how to cook. You think my dad wants to cook? He's not going to cook. Where men nowadays almost have to know how to cook and have to know how to do plenty of things that it seems like men weren't willing to do and did not have to do when my dad was growing up.
Well, Vito, I'm thankful I'm not single in this era because it was quite easy for me, 10 years ago. I just had happened to see my wife. She was a medical biller. I was working at a mental health facility, and I just kind of happened to see a bright, smiling face, and I was just interested. And so I just was a guy that treated her very, very nicely, and there was a connection, and it went forward. So it was really kind of easy in that I was just really into her, and I just went up to her and talked to her. We had a great first date, asked her out. We went to Buffalo Wild Wings. We
Beat-ups for the first date, really?
No, I think it was
like
second
a later
date.
Okay.
First date was the movie we saw, The Hulk, with Ed Norton. So we saw
I was about to say, now, if you don't remember this, if this isn't true, would your wife get on you, Andrea? Would she tell you, hey, man, come on, you should be
No, I think
remembering
it's right.
the first date.
No, the first date was a movie.
Okay,
and
so that's legit.
Yep, and
Okay.
then we went out to Buffalo Wild Wings. We had a good conversation, and after that, it was just kind of like, yeah, she's cool, and we celebrated over the 4th of July. We hung out a little bit, and then the rest is history. We just hung out. We kept hanging out, and I was just really nice to her, and she was really nice to me, and there was a connection, and so we started dating, and so I was a guy that never really liked the word dating. I obviously had friends that were females, but I never really pursued anybody, me personally, to have like a long-term girlfriend. I had relationships, but they never really lasted longer than a couple months. So I was never...
So you never really dated anybody before the
Long-term.
Is that true?
Long-term.
So nobody more than 2 months.
Right. Nobody long-term at all prior to my wife. And then the good thing was I knew kind of after the first few dates that, this is potential. She's a nice girl. She's got a good, stable head on her shoulders, and she's a hard worker, and she works in my field, and it was really cool. And so I was like, oh, man, thank goodness. I never had to deal with drama. I never had to deal with a stage 5 clinger. I never had to deal with somebody cheating on me or somebody that, got with my friends or was... I never dealt with any dating drama. But this is what millennials got to go through in terms of rejection and online dating and multiple
You mean you
interviews.
never used Tinder? You weren't on Tinder?
No, there's no
I
Tinder.
would love to see you on there right
That'd be
now.
funny, right?
But you couldn't be. Anyways, a lot of people, like in your age bracket, though, I would love to see them on Tinder nowadays because you wouldn't even know what to expect. It would just hit you like a bus coming at 100 miles per hour. It would, because you wouldn't even know what to expect signing up for Tinder because you see so much crap nowadays.
Yeah.
You really do.
And I think it's happening, too, with millennials waiting to get married because people like me are saying, wait till you're 30. Don't get married when you're young because having money makes a relationship better. Having a career established is way better. And having a personality that's developed. I mean, you're 25 years old, Vito. Your personality is not even fully developed. In 3 years, you're going to be way further than you are now. So why lock it down now? Have fun. Go out. Live life. Travel. I got married at 31. Vito, I'm not going to lie to you. I went to Michigan State. I had a fun 20s. It was great, all appropriate, all above board, all consensual. I had a fun time in my 20s, and by the time I was 28, 29, I was ready. I'm like, okay, I've kind of have sowed my royal oats. Everything was fun, and now I'm ready to kind of look into a family, and I'm looking forward to meeting somebody and developing a deeper connection, and we had a good time with it, and I'm thankful that it wasn't long after I was, mentally ready that I met my wife and everything took off. But yeah, I would tell everybody, if you're a man, don't get married, don't think about marriage until you're 29 or 30.
So what would you tell your daughters? When they ask you
one
one day, hey, Daddy, when should I get married?
26, 25, 26, because that would give the guy a chance to be 4 years older.
I was about to say, so you're going to say your daughter should get married younger than a guy. If you had a,
Oh, yeah,
if you had a
100%.
son,
Oh, yeah, 100%.
you tell your son to wait longer than your daughter.
100%.
You're telling your daughter to get married kind of quick. I mean, 25, you're right out of school, kind of like right now, I'm kind of right out of
But
school.
Vito,
still.
from my understanding, women mature faster than guys do. And there's
Proven with
opportunities-
you? Same thing with you? Or
I would say, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Your wife was more
I'm-
mature, and it took
oh,
a
yeah.
long time for you
Oh,
to get
yeah.
mature?
Yeah, 100%.
So when were you actually fully mature, in your opinion?
30 years old.
30. You weren't mature, so you...
No.
Wait, what do I think I'm...
Hold on, Vito.
Okay, tell me.
Your definition, you're probably looking at me cross-eyed going, what do you mean you weren't
Yeah,
mature?
so I mean, elaborate on what you mean by mature then.
Relationship mature, meaning
Like
where
ready for a long-term relationship?
ready to sacrifice, meaning that if I wanted to watch a football game, I would go in my 20s. I didn't want to be bogged out. I didn't care what anybody thought. So if I was dating somebody at the time, if I was 25 and I wanted to go watch a game, I would not care what the other party would think. And I just go do whatever I wanted to do. When you're 27, 28, 29, you start to give a little bit more consideration to another party. You start sacrificing a little bit. You sometimes then hang out with her friends and go out and do stuff like that. Whereas when I was 22, it was just all about John. And that's the way it should have been. All about me. I lived life fully.
I thought it's still like that. I mean, that's what
No,
that's
Vito.
the gauge I get.
Well, Vito, you were late to the recording, so it's not all about me. So
Well,
I'm
obviously,
very
it's all about me.
I'm
Right, there we go.
flexible in my
Yes.
older age. I want
You're
things
nicer
done,
now.
Yeah, I want things done a certain way, and there's a way that's right and wrong, and I'll always defend what I think is right. But for me in a relationship, I didn't care about someone's needs until I was 28, 29. I wasn't willing. I'm like, hey, if I want to go to a place that's an adult establishment, I would go. And, when you are in a relationship, you got to give and take. You got to go to her friends' birthdays. You got to do other stuff. You got to sacrifice. Whereas instead of watching 20 football games in a weekend, you watch 2. And I was more than happy. I'm more than happy to sacrifice. And so
Because of the Andrea. Because she was well worth it
and
to
I
make
was-
that sacrifice,
and
right?
I was mature enough. Guys in their early 20s, they feel like they miss out, and that's why some relationships don't take off, is that the guy thinks the woman is holding him down or anything like that. But when you're ready, when the time is right, Vito, you'll make that same sacrifice too. Because live your life now. You come and go as you please. You travel. You do what you got to do. But when it's time, 27, 28, 29, it's time to get into a family life, you'll make those sacrifices.
So right now, I should be planting my seed in numerous places?
Yeah.
Is that true?
100%. You should be.
Do you like that phrase, by the way?
You should be having
Is
a good
it
time.
accurate?
You should be exploring every aspect of your life, in every aspect. Why not?
Let me ask you one thing. We're going to transition real quick here, but to Golden Tate and what Golden Tate has done in the past in terms of showboating. I did something really good this past week in helping out a situation in a freeway accident.
You saw that? Yeah.
On Southfield Freeway. So that was great from Golden Tate. I love the guy as a wide receiver. But how about the showboating, man? I mean, against Dallas last week, too.
Look,
come on, dude.
A lot of
I didn't like that.
I didn't care at all.
But then they lost. It was like bad karma.
The only time I would have cared is if the ball got slapped out of his hand. He scored.
Mm-hmm.
Football's fun, man. Don't make it the no fun league. Why? I didn't look at that at all. And I saw that Patricia brought him over. Some media members critiqued him and said it's not professional. I was okay with it. Minor violation. I don't even think it got on my radar for the week. And I knew I had a feeling someone would talk about it, but Golden Tate, unfortunately, is so productive, but again, wasted. He's going to be gone after this year, after a losing season, and he'll be going on to greener pastures. But it's unfortunate that a guy like that, who's so productive, can't get on a winning team here in Detroit. It's unfortunate.
So he's moving on.
He's
after
going to
the
move
season.
on.
I think so too.
I think so too.
Matty P and him will not coexist.
Nope.
They're not meant for the long term, like you and your wife Andrea, and like me
Exactly.
and somebody in the future.
Exactly.
Now I am re-upping though for 2019. Golden Tate might not be for next year, but news was made right recently about me re-upping for 2019.
Happy
Big
to
news
have you.
for a couple of people that liked it on Twitter.
Happy to have you. It was great. Happy to have you. I mean, it's great news. I mean, we're podcasting twice a week, even more. We have opportunities to interview more people, make some noise, and I would not really want to do this podcast without you, so it's great. And you're sticking around for all of 2019. You'll be well compensated. You are the highest paid podcaster in the Midwest, so I'm really happy to make you that, and it's no problem by me. You do great work. Now, it doesn't come without challenges, but I think you're learning from it, and I think you're getting a sense of the professional nature in which you got to do your job in terms of timeliness, execution, what I'm looking for, and a constant willingness to push yourself to do better. Meaning, I'm not going to sit in here and blow smoke up your ass and be like, great job, Vito, all the time, but I do think...
And that's why I cry at night.
Yeah, I do think that you recognize, wow, from where you were 3 years ago when you walked in here with Brett and Dom to where you are now, you're probably like, wow, I'm a better broadcaster. I have a bigger audience. I have better opportunities. And the network has done its job for you. And so in turn, you're doing the job for the network. And it's a beautiful symbiotic relationship. And it'll continue for 2019. You got 2 podcasts. You can do 2 more. And you have a full platform. The podcast has invested in you. And obviously now we're going to recoup that investment, and we're happy to see you take on greater opportunities that you have with your interviews and the high school work that you do with the Free Press and the work you're going to do with the Tigers in 2019. So it's just all in all, continued growth. The flower is now blooming, and we get a chance to see what you're about, and I think that you're getting it. You're like, okay, yeah, I understand I got to do things a little bit more professional, on point to the Doc standards, and you're meeting it at an 87.5% clip. So I'm really happy with that.
Oh, wow. So a B grade overall wise.
B plus.
That's what you're saying.
B
B plus.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
good. So I'm trying to meet your standards.
Yep.
Doc's so-called standards.
B+.
And I like how you described you and I, what we have going on right now, or me and the network, as a beautiful symbiotic relationship.
Yep.
Speaking of that, how about us with Legacy Football once again? I want to bring up, so their big game is coming up November 25th. Legacy Football High School Senior All-Star Game presented by Zenith. Fox Sports Detroit, Kroger, Legacy, obviously, featuring Adidas uniform and apparel from Top Cat Sales, by the way, another fine sponsor, as we already mentioned in this week's episode of Two Bad Hombres. So check out that game November 25th at the beautiful Legacy Center Complex, which you've already been to now, and you give it a rave review. I know that much.
Great complex out there in Brighton. And for those that listened to last week, here's another critique for you. You just got to do a little bit better job with your transitions going forward. But it's okay. Legacy Football is a great organization.
I just wanted to give them a mention. And, Doc, we'll leave it at that as time is up on this week's episode of Two Bad Hombres. You know, great feedback as well from you. Always willing to give critiques. That is the Doc. Thank you, Doc. Adios to all.
Thanks, everybody, for supporting the network. Go visit DetroitSportsPodcast.com. That's how we can keep Vito here on the network for the rest of 2018 and all of 2019. Thanks, everybody. You've listened to Two Bad Hombres.